a court of fairies and fiction. ACOTAR Girls Podcast. Hosts Mel and Liv. Episode 13, Lies and Links.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Good to see you. Good to see all of you again.
Good to hear everybody.
Here everyone. Well, I don't know. We're seeing them.
See you as a number on our...
Yeah. I like to think we know our...
I know.
A little bit.
I'm sad that Spotify doesn't at least give us your usernames so we could thank you.
I know. How cool would that be? We could talk to people and hear their views. How cool would that be?
I know. It bothers me every day. I'm like, I just want to know their usernames.
I just want to know who they are. That's it. We're not asking for much.
Anyway, I have been texting Olivia all week because I may have figured out something in the ACOTAR universe. And I don't know if SJM purposely made this connection or if, like she said, her memory is just awful. But it has to do with Moore and all of her secrets, of course.
Surprise.
It also has to do with Ianthe. Do you remember when we were talking about how we were like, well, did Reese kind of tell her to sabotage them or whatever? And I was like, I don't know, maybe not.
Yes. Was this in the conversation we were talking about? He shows her the memory of Ianthe on his bed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was in that conversation or whatever. But I was looking up Ianthe because she kind of sickens me. So I kind of skim over her parts most of the time, unless it has to do with Lucian. And I've read the series a million times and I don't remember this, but I did go back and I fact checked it and it's actually right. So I'm going to read this to you real quick.
Okay.
Ianthe was a high fae noble born in the Spring Court. Okay, so she was born in the Spring Court. Remember we were questioning that? And was a childhood friend of Tamlin's. Her father was one of Tamlin's strongest allies at the court and captain of his forces. Forgot that part too. Around 300 years ago, she becomes the youngest of the 12 high priestesses. Her father had sensed the trouble coming with Amarantha and packed up Ianthe and her two younger sisters and fled to Valahan and lived there for 50 years while their people were butchered and enslaved. Following the events of Under the Mountain and the death of Amarantha, Ianthe returns to the Spring Court from Valahan and takes the role of high priestess and personal advisor to Tamlin. So Ianthe's second home is in Valahan. Moore's second home is in Valahan. So when Reese returned from Under the Mountain, everyone's like, he had to have told his cousin, she's my mate. She's my mate. So wouldn't it be funny if Moore took a little trip to Valahan and was like, Tamlin's friend. Ha ha ha. And kind of Moore, the truth person, saw that Ianthe wanted the high priestesses to be in charge. And what if she was like, I'm going to expose your whole plan unless you help me get Farah away from Tamlin. For Reese. The fucking rose petals. The fucking rose petals.
Wait, but how would Moore have known about the rose petals?
She didn't even have to. All she had to do was be figure out, what will separate them and do your best to make sure they don't get married. Make sure they don't get married because my cousin's crashing this wedding, whether they're close or not. They're mates.
Wait,
I'm
wait. Who's
convinced.
mates? Rhys and Feyre?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if Rhys told Mor, like, she's my mate, but she's gonna marry Tamlin, we have a sentence from Mor. Remember when she said, like, people like Tamlin who took, I don't know, choices away from women or whatever, she would never forgive him. Do you remember that line?
I don't remember
Where she
that
lumped
line.
him in with, like, Hybern and all these people. She goes, another male that she would never forgive for abusing a female, because she was talking about Eris, and she lumped Tamlin in with him.
Mor, you scheming little dog. I cannot believe.
Yup.
I literally. Sorry, guys. I'm super sick, so just bear with me. Melanie. Fucking Mor. She is. I told you she's a big girl.
All the secrets. All the secrets. The truth person.
Yeah.
She knows fucking everything.
Mor is back there, like, playing everyone's strings. Holy, it would make sense. So here's my thing. What is Valahan? Because we get the sentence with Ianthe and the sentence with Mor. We don't know what it is, right?
It's one of the towns on the continent.
Okay, and the continent is just
towns,
obviously
countries, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Because there's Valahan, Montesir, Rask, a couple others, like Zion.
I do not. Yeah. So they're all Fae, though, right?
Yeah, those ones are all Fae. But they were all loyalists.
Loyalists to
slave owners, yeah.
Okay. It's interesting to me that we've got Fae on the continent and we have Fae on the island.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, the continent is, like, split.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's weird.
You can't tell me that Mor.
Who is the one that Rhys sent to actually get Feyre?
Get her.
We did it all by the book.
I never quite understood what he meant by
all
that.
By the book.
Because everyone knows that Mor is his inner circle. So, like, even doing that by the book, like, technically we all know that Rhys stole her. So, like, what does that even mean?
We had to, well, apparently they couldn't winnow in.
Oh.
They had to walk into the lands. Claim that she was calling for help and then decide to aid her, basically.
Okay. I see.
He had to walk in. They couldn't winnow in or whatever. So you guys can determine whether she told Rhys that she did that or whether she didn't. Because Rhys did hate Ianthe. He knew that she was, like, a creep.
He did, though. In fact, at the wedding, do you remember when he shows up, what she does? She, like, slowly backs away, like, seeing him there, and, like, creeps off into the shadows because she didn't want to see him.
So, you know how, like, she was, which it was weird anyway that she was after Rhys to have powerful babies or whatever, but what if Mor was like, listen, my cousin, the High Lord of the Night Court's mate, is going to marry your friend Tamlin. If you make sure they don't say I do, you can have Tamlin. Like,
I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right?
Or Lucien, because she was after Lucien too.
I know, she wanted Lucien. Which is
who wouldn't want Lucien though? Let's be honest.
I know. It's interesting to me that Ianthe was so after Lucien, though, right? Like, with, like, I'm convinced Lucien is super, super powerful.
Yeah.
I think he probably will be high king.
I mean, Rhys does say that the high priestesses have their own magic along with, like, what they're gifted from the mother or whatever. So, I mean, what if Ianthe could just sense power?
Yeah.
Like, that's why she wanted to have babies with Rhys, because he's the most powerful High Lord. I think it would be weird with Tamlin just because, again, they were childhood friends and like, he knew her father and all of that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Lucian.
He's kind of like fair game. He's like, he's kind of a
Yeah.
rogue.
I was like, they both have houses in Valahan.
Melanie.
Didn't
like,
she say that
I'm
it
so
had been
obsessed.
a few years since she had been there?
I don't remember. I have to go back
In
and read it.
ACOTAR?
I
Hold
would be-
on. Hold on. I'm going to look this up right now.
Pull this
I'm
up
pretty
right-
sure she said it had been a few years. I could be
was
wrong.
that fast?
I could be wrong. And her estate is called Athelwood. Morgan. First of all, I just want to make note that the very first sentence of Moore's POV in ACOTAR is, she'd lied to Feyre. Very first sentence.
What? Read the
She
whole
was
thing.
going to the Winter Court, just not as soon as she said. Vivian at least knew when to truly expect her.
So she's out
Such
here
a lie.
lying to Feyre? She's such a little stinky rat. She's a liar. That's all she does is lie.
She didn't like telling people about this place, had never mentioned it to the others, so they don't even know she has a place in Valahan.
So as a cast, don't even know.
Maybe Reese doesn't even know. Also,
Maybe.
Vivian, keeping more secrets.
Yeah, Vivian.
I'm
Shame on you,
disappointed. I was
Vivian.
rooting for you.
Yeah.
So she bought it 300 years ago, kept it for the horses. How far away the continent seemed, Reese's request with it to go and play spy and courtier and ambassador to see those kingdoms long closed where friends had once dwelled. Yes, her blood called to her. Go as far and as wide as you can. Go on the wind.
Interesting. The wind.
Her blood called to her.
And
also, doesn't this kind of assume that Reese knows then that she has a place there?
No, I got from that he doesn't know, right?
Oh, he just told her to go play spy and wherever.
Maybe.
And then again, the dark patch of darkness, which is
well, did you see that comment on Facebook the other day that is a Valg Prince watching more?
Yeah, but see, this is the sentence that always confuses me when everyone guesses what this is, because it says, Moore scented nothing and saw nothing. The tendril of power she speared toward the woods revealed only the usual birds and small beasts. Nothing, except a patch of darkness. It didn't move, did not seem to do anything but linger and watch, familiar yet foreign. Something in her power whispered not to touch it, not to go near it, even from this distance, so she obeyed.
It could be.
But she still watched that darkness in the thorns as if a shadow had fallen asleep amongst them. Not like Azriel's shadows, twining and whispering. Something different, something that stared back, watching her in turn. So, I don't know if I mentioned my little tiny theory here. I think I might have. I think
Bryaxis? Briar?
I think it's Cormac.
What makes you say that?
Because I feel like he's a world walker. I told you I don't think he's dead. I think he's been staking out Prithian. I think he knows way more than he was telling anyone. Especially if he was working with the rebels.
Okay, wait. Maybe I'm getting confused. Didn't she say he was like for sure dead in her interview that she did with that you and I were watching?
No, I think they said Danica and they said Connor.
And then
they didn't ask about Cormac.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I like both theories. I could see both. I mean,
turning them from the woods and its shadowy watcher. The way that he comes into Rune's house, I will never forget it.
I love that scene.
I love the shadows just swirl everywhere.
I loved it.
Because wouldn't he know how to cover his scent. Like, he would know how to cover his scent and his power, basically. And Avalon Faye, like, we know he has a direct line to Prithian.
He does. There's
But
gotta be
what else
someone.
might she see, witness in lands where none in the Night Court had ventured for millennia? Why is that?
The Night Court's not going over to Valahan? Is that what's going
The
on?
continent? They're not going to the continent for millennia? So then, why did Reese need more specifically to go?
To go over there.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, what if Moore is the one that betrays in the next book?
I mean, she's gonna betray them regardless because of all the secrets.
Well, too, like, why does she have a house where the loyalists live, right? Kind of weird.
It's weird. Well, she said that Athelwood came with 6 horses, the previous owner having grown bored with them, all of them rare coveted breeds. They'd been worth as much as the sprawling estate in the 300 pristine acres northwest of Valaris. Northwest of Valaris.
Northwest.
A land of rolling hills and bubbling streams of ancient forests and crashing seas. Why does that sound like the Spring Court?
It definitely does, but I also kind of feel like it sounds like
Or Dusk.
Aderlin, or I can never say it from Tog. Aderlin? Yeah.
Yeah.
The Kingdom of Aderlin, where Dorian's from. Like, that's kind of what it sounds like to me. I don't know.
Like, it's on the continent, but it's northwest of Valar. So it has to be all the way up.
Yeah.
Across the sea from
the
Night Court then.
Yeah.
Moore didn't like being alone for long periods of time. Couldn't stand it. Yeah, as if we didn't know she was codependent. Please.
I love
also,
it.
who the fuck is feeding these poor horses when she's not there for them?
That's actually a really good point. Like, who's in charge of your estate more? Who is it? She has
also,
like a whole...
I'm wondering if these horses are somehow related to the Pegasi.
That'd be so fucking cool. That'd be, but how? It's like, I wonder how. I don't know.
It's like they're also like super rare and coveted and whatever. And it's like only Helion possesses them. But like, what if Moore also does? And like, that's just another secret.
Yes. She's just holding so many secrets right now.
The way that, I don't know, the way that Amarantha like sacked the libraries, but she also like supposedly killed most of the Pegasi.
I know.
What if she just like actually kidnapped them and like stored them in some estate, killed the owners, stored them in the estate, and then like Moore bought it? And like
Moore's like, yo, this is Amarantha's old digs.
right?
Can you imagine? I feel like Moore would do like an episode of Cribs, like, yo, Amarantha used to live here.
Live it up.
Horses. I know.
I'll take all your coveted horses. I don't care if they're stolen.
I mean, like, I personally would love it because I find that so freaking funny. You know, that Moore's just like, yeah, I'll take all your shit. It's cool.
Also, Moore surveyed the rolling grounds and the gray sky, nestled in her Illyrian leathers and heated from the ride. She was comfortably warm. An afternoon reading by the crackling fire in Athelwood's extensive library, followed by a hearty dinner and early bed, would be bliss. Amarantha took all those library books too. Just saying. She sacked the libraries and took the Pegasi.
That is not Amarantha's home.
I mean, where did she stay?
Under the mountain. That woman loved Under the Mountain. She ain't leaving that place. That's her home. Amarantha
where did she stay?
shit.
But where did she stay before she forged Under the Mountain? Because remember, it was forged after the Night Court. So where was she staying while all that construction was going on? Nice and cozy on the continent with all the rest of the loyalists. That's where.
Hybrids like, look, my general Amarantha, she lives over on the continent. I'm gonna bring her in.
I'm gonna say that it was Amarantha's old.
That is
Imagine if I was right. Can you imagine?
If you were right that that's Amarantha's old house, like I will seriously pay for your Starbucks for like an entire month because I would.
I'm gonna
shocked.
hold you to that now.
I was gonna say it's being said right here now. Like I will do it.
But honestly, didn't they? They did say that Amarantha went like back and forth from Hybern to like the continent to Prithian because she was supposedly checking how trade was gonna go between them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we know that the continent supported them in the loyalists.
Yeah. No, I mean it's interesting. It's interesting. Your comment about Ianthe and more is pretty intriguing to me. Like I keep thinking about that. So
I literally wrote it down in my notes as more Valhan, Ianthe, wedding ruiner.
Yeah. They had to have planned that. They had to have used Ianthe.
Had to have. Because again, what other motivation did Ianthe have to ruin their wedding?
Well, it's true. Like the wedding dress, like the rose petals, and also Ianthe wanted Tamlin out, right? Because she like wanted the priestesses.
She wanted
to
all,
rule.
yeah, she wanted all the High Lords like out.
But like,
so,
is she smart enough to know to break them up? You know what I mean?
It's so
I don't know.
But again, like, why would it matter if he was married or not? She could have kicked them all out. Because again, according to Ianthe, she would have just been a consort anyway. So she had to have some other motivation, which if her power really is just sensing other people's powers, which is why I think she was buddy-buddy with Feyre in the Spring Court anyway, to begin with. What if she could sense that, again, Lucian maybe one day would be High King?
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. Why was she after him? She was after him.
She was like, oh, Rhys. And then she was like, oh, Lucian.
And also, though, like, what is the deal with wanting to have babies so bad? I don't understand that. Like, that's kind of weird to me that she wants to have kids so badly.
She would have been an awful mother anyway, just saying.
Yeah, seriously. Like seriously.
Nobody needs little Ianthe's running around.
The most toxic mother you could possibly have would be Ianthe.
Oh my god.
The only reason I find it weird is because aren't the Asteri like obsessed with like breeding and offspring and power? Like I don't know. I know Ianthe's not Asteri, but still.
Well, again, I think the whole loyalist thing started as who's on the side of the Asteri and who's going to get all the power. And then it just kind of, through the millennia, trickled down to, okay, well, who's going to, you know, keep those humans in line?
Yes.
Kind of like what the Asteri said, how they're like, we even kept humans alive to have the Vanir rule over somebody.
Yes, I read that. I
like, you know, and Hybern and Amarantha have to be Asteri. Had to have been.
I know. I kind of keep going back and forth. I don't know if they are. It makes the most sense.
Had to have been.
I know.
She had her own death powers, dark power. And then like Hybern had the dark power and the dark galaxy in his hand. And then he had the whole, what do you call it? Amethyst light, where he was sucking the power from the souls, basically.
Yes.
Everyone just kind of like read over it.
It was like, yeah, I did kind of skim that part. I would agree with that. I definitely read over it.
Like he was fueling his army with the power of second light from the fucking dead, that the people that were being killed. That's why that commander that was going against Helion, spell for spell, would have won if Amarantha didn't smoke them all. You know?
It's amazing to me. Sarah J. Maas, honestly, is probably one of the best writers like of her time. I think so.
As
Because,
far as like ingrained little clues and connections go, it's awesome.
yeah, she's really, really good. You know what I mean? Like, if it really is that, like, more in Ianthe schemes.
I'm like getting sniffly too. Everyone at my job was sick at the same time. And I just got away with a cold, so I also kind of have a cold. So we're doing what we can.
Yeah.
Or keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on. Absolutely. We are gonna film
keep
tonight.
calm and carry on. But yeah, I mean, what other explanation would there be for Ianthe to like sabotage them? I know, other than taking down Tamlin, that's a whole separate thing.
It is a whole separate thing. I'm like really intrigued now. Now I'm like, you got like the wheels turning. And
well, because I always see those reels of, you know, Rhys going home to Valaris, like skipping the meeting under the mountain, going home to Valaris, and just like falling into Mor's arms and being like, she's my mate, she's my mate. And I've seen that so many times recently. And I'm like, there's nothing Mor wouldn't do for Rhys. Just like there's really nothing Rhys wouldn't do for Mor. Like, yeah, he fucked up in ACOTAR, and she chewed him out for it, rightfully.
He did.
But that's like how they are. They'll chew each other out for it. But she would definitely do something to help him get his mate.
Of course she's gonna help him do that. I love it. I love that. Wait, explain to me though. You said you've been seeing that scene a lot on Reels. Like, what do you mean?
On Instagram, a lot of people like artists or digital artists, or like people who like make the little animations or whatever.
Yeah.
And then
wow, it's interesting that people are really adamant about that.
Oh, they are. It's like, it's kind of like that the Mandela effect, where like stuff doesn't actually happen and people like, again, like you think it has pushed her, when I was like, he didn't push her.
I was 100%.
I will prove to you he didn't push her.
Well, I think what happened is, it's true though, but this is what happens in this fandom, is that like people
effect, like it's so over, and everyone's convinced that it happened and it didn't. Yeah. And like a lot of them are just fan-made scenes.
I think that you're right.
That is like a really popular fan-made scene where he like collapses into Mor and is like, she's my mate, she's my mate, she's my mate. And like she had to have helped him. She had to have helped him.
Yeah, I mean, because like when you think about that, right? Like, what are you gonna do? Just like sit there, like, and be like, "Oh, Rhys, I'm so sorry. Like, let's just accept it." No, they're like, you know, she's like, "Let's get her back." You know what I mean? Or let's get her from Tamlin. Like, I could see it.
Yeah, and just I don't know. I feel like Mor. I don't really have direct quotes to back this up, but I feel like Mor knows a lot about like just information about every single court. Because she is kind of his courtier, emissary, whatever, right? Yeah. She is. She's his third in command. That's it. She kind of has the same title as Lucien did to Tamlin. Yeah. So she would have known Ianthe and Tamlin, you know? Oh, Ianthe and her evil sisters fled to Valahan because they were cowards with their dad. I bet they're going to go back to Spring. I bet he's going to ask her for help. Like, totally intercepted her.
Also, have you noticed that there are like a bunch of like siblings out in like the ACOTAR universe that we know nothing about?
Like Ianthe's like dad and fucking sisters are still out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Like what?
Azriel's dad and brothers out there. His mom out there. Lucian's unnamed brothers out there.
Yes. Yes. And I'm like, okay.
Rhys's sister out there. Did you like the thing that I put on Instagram?
Did you see? I was obsessed the minute I saw it. I was like, holy Moses, this is beautiful.
It was so cute.
It was so cute. It was so cute. And you want to know what? Yeah. If she doesn't write that in, besides your fanfic, I'm going to go all out. I'm going to write my own fanfic, and I'm going to do that because that's the ending that he deserved.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We'll see. We'll see.
I also I really sometimes I really don't know how I think of these things. Honestly, they just kind of happen. But I was thinking about what we were talking about last time with like the King Arthur stuff.
Yeah.
And
And
like
her
we were like,
knights.
oh well, who would the knights be and who would blah blah blah, whatever. And I was just thinking back to like the made weapons, like we know Bryce has the horn and there's Truth Teller and Gwydion and like all of these. And the one that's supposedly gonna choose a High King is the sword that is unnamed that Nesta made, the biggest sword that is unnamed. And Koshi has a little lake on the continent, right? I don't know if that's gonna tie in, but my train of thought kind of went there. What if Nesta's unmade sword that chooses the next High King is Excalibur?
That'd be so fucking cool. That'd be so cool. Wait, I thought she named it Ataraxia.
No, her sword that she kept was Ataraxia.
What was Ataraxia?
The biggest one that Amryn told Rhys to use to become High King is unnamed. She didn't. That's the one that they didn't want to tell her about.
It would be so cool if it was Excalibur.
Oh, like what if it's Excalibur? And instead of Lady in the Lake, we have like Asteri in the Lake. I don't know. We have like Sword in the Stone. It's gonna get like fucking tossed, stuck in the stone. I have no idea. Lucian's gonna be the one to pull it out.
Can you imagine? It's like this like hot redhead puts his foot on the stone. The sun is just like shining behind him as he like pulls down, and Elaine's like,
"Oh my god,
that's my mate."
I want it. If fucking oh my god, if fucking Gwen and Az are the Little Mermaid, Lucian and Elaine are gonna be the Lady in the Lake because I think Koshi's gonna kidnap her and fucking King Arthur.
I would freak out. Well, someone was saying, because I was like, I love to go on like read all these little things, that Papa Archeron, who you and I have talked about many times, he's super sus. He made a deal with Koshi.
Yeah.
To be like, take my middle daughter. She's the most beautiful of the three. And Elaine is just as sweet as could be. You know what I mean? Like,
that's why I think that he hid a part of his soul in her. He relocated it.
But also, like, what kind of a shitty dad would do that? I don't know.
Well, maybe he didn't know the extent. Like, nobody really knows what Koshi is. And he was just like a mortal, as far as we're supposed to know. He was a mortal, right? And so he was just thinking, I have to protect them from dying in this war. Like,
short-term gains versus long-term gains.
Yeah, like Farrah will figure it out. She figures out everything.
Everything. Everything.
Maybe Nesta will figure it out with her. I mean, she's always been super protective over Elaine. But he's probably like, short-term goals versus long-term goals.
Yes.
You know.
Also, the fact that he knew exactly where Koshi
go.
Exactly. Didn't even have to look for him that hard.
The personal connection he had to Vasa.
What was it? Your father was a better dad to me than my own dad? What, ma'am?
He was more of a father to me than my own.
Ma'am, what does that mean?
I told you, I think he is like one of Miriam's people. I think he was half Fae.
He has to be half Fae.
Because again, the only reason he would consort with the queens or Vasa, probably because she's the nicest one, would be to get permission to go over the wall to like do his trading mercenary stuff.
He is so sus.
And that's why, as I've said, Tamlin showed up in beast form instead of Fae form because he knew him. And he was like, fuck, it's this guy's kid.
Oh, fuck, I know this dude.
This guy's daughter.
It's funny because, I don't know. He's just so weird.
That whole thing is interconnected and complicated and puzzle. And then we have Mama Archeron being super fucking sus at the same time.
It's weird.
What if I don't know. What if Mama Archeron's the lady in the lake? What if Koshi took her?
No, it's gonna be like Elaine. It has to be Elaine.
Oh, I do think he's gonna take Elaine, but what if he had some bargain and took their mother too?
I don't know.
There's no fucking way she died of typhus. Come on.
I think she's dead. I truly feel like she's dead.
After all of her weird, cryptic shit.
She's got to be dead. She has to
Well, Hofas is about necromancy, so maybe they're gonna be like, what the fuck was this supposed to mean? Like,
give me an
first
answer.
of all, fuck you for that childhood. First of all.
Yeah,
Nesta's gonna have some words.
I hope Nesta just like shoves everybody aside and is like, listen.
Let me out this bitch.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know. They're
It's so
fake.
confusing.
It's super confusing. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Because
like she didn't they did say that, like, didn't they say that like she did love their father or something, but then she was also very like materialistic.
Yeah.
And would go out to the parties with all the people. You're telling me she ain't going to Calumet? Come on.
Oh, give me a break. She had to have. Absolutely.
All the parties with the ashwood. All the rich families with their hordes of ashwood.
Yeah. But just I feel like Tamlin being like, your mother never told you. So sus. What do you mean
weird.
my mother? What?
And you're gonna bring up her mother and not her father?
Yeah. Your parents never told you?
Like,
No.
But no, specifically your mother?
Your
never
mother.
told you?
Who's your evil? Who is she? Who are they?
Who?
Who? Who?
That's why I don't think she's dead. There's too many secrets.
I bet you she's dead. I think like, we can't keep unaliving people. We gotta keep them dead.
Okay, but who did they, I mean, other than Rhys and Feyre, who else did they bring back? I mean, Amryn, but other than the Night Court, who have they brought back?
It's true.
Poor Andrus, first of all.
He's the only one at ACOTAR that's like,
Dude should have been the
dead.
first person resurrected. This poor guy. You're telling me they couldn't go to the site and find one of his fucking bones for the cauldron?
I know.
Come on. One of his fucking bones. Come on.
Come on. Andrus, what the hell?
He saved everyone.
He seriously did. You know what would be such a cool scene? Excuse me, if she put in is like in the necromancy in the next book, House of Flame and Shadow. If they did bring Andrus back, he like goes back to the spring court and like helps Tamlin, but then he's also like, yo, Feyre did this shit. Yo, we made that girl into Fae and she fucked us in the end. Right?
But oh my god, but Tamlin seeing Andrus again and like all that guilt. Oh my god.
I know. I would be just like balls. Just
Here,
bawling.
see, now you gave me a fucking idea for another one shot. I don't need any more ideas. I have a list. I have a whole list.
You should do it.
Ideas. I have a million fanfics going on, okay?
I know you do, and I love it.
I did actually post chapter 8 of the Andrus fic, of the pre-ACOTAR Andrus fic. And actually that chapter centers around Brynn and her enemies to lovers, which I don't really like that trope, but
really? I love enemies to lovers. Really?
It's more like rivals to lovers. They kind of act more like Nesta and Cassian, which is why I think you'll like them.
I love that.
I was like, I hate how they're starting off because like he calls her a bitch to her face. Like they're the whole really quick because I don't want to go into my whole fix again. But basically his name is Griffin Bell and he's one of the guards for the spring court. And they're all kind of young. They're in like the younger, training classes or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And Tamlin was the first person to allow females to train.
I
And
love Tamlin.
so Bryn's brother was not very warrior-like, but of course her parents were like, you're gonna go and be in the guard, blah blah blah. And basically he like got attacked by a monster and he like lost his leg and he couldn't be in it anymore. And Bryn had always wanted to, was one of those tough girls, right?
Right.
And so, the parents are kind of disappointed in her because she doesn't want to just be like a mom and a housewife and all that stuff. But Tamlin let her in. So basically, she's the only female in the training program, the only female guard. And so, of course, all the guys are like backwards thinkers, awful to her. Like, this fucking bitch is training. Like, she thinks she can be as strong as a male and all this stuff. And one of the worst, well, not the worst, but one of her bullies, Griffin, obviously actually secretly likes her, which as they do, and so chapter 8 is them. They were matched up for a sparring session in training.
Ooh.
And she gets one over on him because as with most of the parents in this fucking series, his father is awful and he beats him. So he was already kind of not ready to spar. He's like, I let you in. She's like, yeah, okay, dickhead. Like, it's like she pins him to the mat and it's like,
I like her.
She's amazing. And she has a black bull mask from Amarantha because she's like stubborn and strong-willed and like a bitch, kind of like Nesta.
I love it. I love that.
And Griffin has a ram's mask because he's very like impulsive and like charges into things without thinking or whatever. And there's like a line that I put where he's like, well, like there's a reason we have similar masks or whatever. And he's like, maybe we're too much alike or something.
Okay.
It's just, I feel like I'm so bad at writing bullies because like I hate like bully romances and stuff. But I'm like, this is how they were. Like, this is how they are in the series. And like secretly he loves that she's like that. Obviously, like secretly he loves it. But he's also the type of person who is kind of similar to Eris, where he shows like no emotion, just detached from everyone. And he has a conversation with her and he's like, you think Amarantha's gonna like care about the people you love? No, she's gonna fucking kill them in front of you if you care about anybody. It's better not to care about anybody. And like they have this whole fight about that. Yeah. And she's like, well, who's gonna fucking mourn you in the end then? Nobody. At least I'll have people to mourn me.
I love it.
And they're just very, again, Ram and Bull.
Head to head, man.
Head to head. And I'll send you some of the art that I did of her. She's very pretty, actually.
I love it.
She has like very like thick, wavy, dark brown hair and like dark green eyes and like the black bull's mask. It's awesome.
Oh, I love it.
It's actually the exact mask that I have that I bought. I saw it at the store for Halloween and I go, it's Bryn's. I got so excited. I was like, I have to buy this mask. It's Bryn's mask.
I love it.
It's literally like what I was thinking of in my head.
Wait, is the picture of her on your Instagram? Can I go look at it?
It is.
Sorry, guys. Excuse me.
It is. I've made a couple, but the most recent one is better. Okay. Actually, I have it saved under little folders, so I have like my fanfic art and all of this stuff. So I'm so excited to go look at it. I have hers right here. So I'm gonna send it to you right now under your Olivia account, and like if you swipe, you'll see her mask.
Wait, let me
see. It's really awesome. And I haven't done Griffin yet. I have to do Griffin because he's gonna have the same like.
I love her. She's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh, she's beautiful.
So it was her and Tamlin and Lucian, and then they were also really close with Andrus's father, because his mother actually like died when he was a kid. And so he was close with his father, and his father was one of the sentries that offered to go over the wall, got unalived. And Andrus was like 17 at the time.
Oh,
So then obviously Tamlin like took him in, and he kind of became like their fourth little brother. Because they were all like, it was like his inner circle, his found family. They were like brothers and sister. And it was so cute. And like, not only losing Andrus, but also losing Brynn. And then it was just him and Lucian. And like, yeah. Because I feel like it had to have been, obviously he felt everyone die, like all of his sentries die when they went over. But I feel like with his amount of like guilt and anger and everything, he had to have been pretty close to at least a couple of them. Like, we know he was close with Andrus, but he had to have been close to like someone else. So that's why I made up Brynn, because I was like, he had to have had some sort of female in his circle too. Come on.
He totally did. Like, even in ACOTAR in the first book, like, it talks about like he has like, I think, a group of friends.
Yeah.
But like, because the Spring Court just like, screw the Spring Court, we never know about it, we don't dive into it because fuck them, right?
Yeah. But like, this fic is, it does not get a lot of hits, which is sad. But I like writing it because it's Andrus's life 2 years pre-Feyre, like pre him getting killed.
Yeah.
And again, it starts when he's 17. And so they tell him that his father died. And obviously he doesn't take it well. And he's like, I'm going to go and like try to hang out with my friends or whatever. Or they're like, go like try to hang out with your friends. Like, get over it, basically, because that's what you do in Prythian. You just get over it. And so he's like, yeah, sure. And instead he sneaks over the wall to try to find his father's body. That's chapter 1.
Good job, buddy.
And he meets a mortal girl who sees him and is kind of terrified at first. But then they get to talking or whatever. So basically, the mortal girl, if any of you listening have read A Court of Love and Healing, you will recognize the name Lily. I don't know if you got that far. Have you gotten that far?
No, not yet.
So basically, Lily was Briar's best friend and one of the first children of the Blessed. And this is because she fell in love with Andrus.
Well, that's really,
I'm bringing
really
it full
sad.
circle.
That's really sad.
So, yeah, basically, Andrus falls for Lily, which it's going to be kind of, again, I don't like love triangles, but I'm doing a love triangle in this fic too.
You have to change things up a little bit. You gotta write a love triangle.
So Andrus has a best friend, which I did not plan their names like this.
Oh Lord, what
and
is
I'm
it?
so stupid because I didn't even think about it till after, but her name is Calla. So it's Calla and Lily. Calla Lily, like a fucking flower. But anyways, her name is Calla, and like she is Andrus's childhood friend. They grew up together. They've been super close their whole lives. She has a secret crush on him. He doesn't know.
Aww.
He falls for the mortal girl.
Aww.
Yeah.
Poor Calla.
And yeah. So that's gonna be a thing. And again, if you've read A Court of Love and Healing, there is a chapter where Briar goes to the Mortallands. And I think I've discussed this particular chapter where she does like meals for mortals and she brings over like
we've talked about it.
Summer Court. Yeah. So she does that, and while she's there, she is determined to find Lily's son, who she placed in the orphanage that Briar used to work at because Briar wanted to be a social worker. She was interning at the orphanage before she became a child of the Blessed.
My God.
And so Lily had dropped like her 1-year-old son off of the orphanage while they were doing the whole Child of the Blessed thing. They thought they would go to Prithian, like build a life there with the Fae, and then she would go back and get him. But of course, as we know, all of them but Briar died in Highburn. So while Briar's there as a new Fae, but she's glamored with Tamlin's help and Lucian's help, she is trying to find her son, Caden, and they bring Caden back to the Spring Court. And Lucian had been talking to like some of the orphanage people, because remember, they're glamored as mortals or whatever. And Lucian finds out that Caden's father is Andrus.
Lucian, bring him home.
So,
bring him home, buddy.
So Briar talks to the orphanage people, and she's like, "Oh, like he's my nephew." Like she says that he's, because they remember her. So she's like, "I'm gonna take him. I'm gonna take care of him. I have a better life or whatever now." Even though she doesn't tell them all the details. She takes him. They take him back to Spring, and by now he's like 4 years old, and he does actually remember her, which is really cute, but that's kind of going to come into his little Fae power because he has the pointy ears, which is why she was scared for him in the first place. And so they get back, and Lucian has to tell Tamlin that this kid is Andrus's, and it's a conversation.
So sad. So sad, but it brings it back full circle. I love it.
I had to do it full circle.
I love Spring Court. I want to read more about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll definitely have to check it out.
Exactly. And so Tamlin's like, what the fuck am I going to do with this tiny child?
He's like,
there's a tiny child in my house again. I don't know what to do.
What do I do?
What do I do with this kid?
Yeah.
And then it's just adorable because there's this little scene where he like walks in on Briar, like singing him lullabies, and like, it's so cute. And by now he knows that she's his mate, and he's like, melting.
Oh my god, stop it.
It's
Stop.
so
Because we all know that Tamlin is going to be like the best dad in the entire world.
Because of all his trauma.
The best dad. Yes.
Dad. Yeah.
And it's not fair that we don't get to see that.
It's not. Oh, and if any of you guys want to know the name of the prequel, it's A Court of Strangling Ivy.
I love it. I love it. Here's the deal. It's like, if you're a hardcore ACOTAR fan, how could you not want to read about Andrus, right? Like, he started it all. He literally was just, like, it started with him.
I'm like, I need to do some justice to our boy. Like,
he was a big deal. You know what I mean? I mean, she, like, legit skinned him, so.
Oh, no. I know. It's awful. It's awful.
He did not deserve that death.
I made it even more awful than it had to be.
Don't. Because I don't want to hear it. I want to be more traumatized.
But he just finds out that day that Lily is pregnant. And he's like, look, hardly anything happens to like hardly any of us. Like, yeah, my dad was probably an outlier. Like, some of them get killed, but that's the risk. He's like, no, probably nothing will happen. And it's like,
of course,
she knows when he never comes back. So then she forms the Children of the Blessed because like her son is half Fae.
I love the idea of that because the Children of the Blessed are super sus, right? Like, super sus. Like,
how do they know that the Fae are kind and whatever? Like, she's like, I literally fell for one. And after Briar lost her mom, who was really the only family that she had in my fic, Lily's just like, look, like, we are pretty much all family, all siblings, like people who have nowhere else to go and want a better life over the wall. Like, I fell in love with a Fae and it's amazing over there. Like, he would tell me all the stories and all this. And so that's how like she, gathered friends and more of the, and that's why I think Andrus was young, because the children of the blessed were all younger
he's young.
younger adults.
He was young. Yeah.
So I think it would just be a great tie-in for him to also have started the children of the blessed.
Yes. I actually love that. I know, I keep thinking, like, I'm trying to figure out, like, who actually would be the one to start the children of the blessed. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Andrus's baby mama.
Perfect. I have my answer. I don't need to read anymore. I'm good.
But like it's always like super jarring to me too when I see like there has been some art of Andrus that I've seen, and it's just totally different from my view of like a young Andrus, because it's always like this buff, like gruff guy who's like, stubble and like,
oh no,
kind of like Braun and Hart, like similar to Braun, and I'm like, I just cannot see him as like older than 20. Like,
no, he like, because Lucian and Tamlin were very like big brother on him, right?
Yeah.
They were like really upset by his death. So
yeah.
No.
And again, to make things even worse, when Feyre kills him, he's also 19. Same age as her.
No, Feyre.
And there has to be a reason why they never told her this about him. That was always weird to me. They were always very like,
it was like, okay, you did it, like, let's begin.
Lucian was like mad. Yeah. For so like it hurt.
It was bad for a long time.
And then he was like, I offered to take his shift at the border.
And like, that's funny to me, because at that point, Lucian, he's like that sassy, smart, he's just a smart ass that we all love, like very confident, like has no cares in the world. Like,
and like, you're gonna take this one person's guard shift for his memory. Like he had to have been like younger than Lucian.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
I can't see him as like an older looking guy.
There's no way. No, he was younger. And it was a big brother, little brother situation for sure.
For sure.
And
like the whole Bryn thing, it's just funny because there's this, for some reason, I just feel like Tamlin hates people touching his hair. I feel like he'd just be like, don't touch my hair. Like, whereas Lucian would probably love like Elaine like stroking his hair or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So the whole thing with Bryn is like, Lucian's like, yeah, she's like the only person he would allow to touch his hair because she just doesn't give a fuck. Like, he's like, he even went so far as to like, God forbid, let her braid it once.
Oh. Tamlin.
Because they were just like, brother, like he would growl at her and she'd be like, the fuck you growling at? Like, she just
did not care. She's like,
it's just like Rhys and Nesta, like, but not hateful, but
yeah, totally different.
Whereas Lucian would be like, okay, Tamlin. Bryn would be like, fuck you mean okay? It's not right here. Yeah. Like, he's wrong. Like, she would call it out.
Oh yeah. Lucian would be like, but somebody.
He's still the High Lord, and she'd be like, I don't give a fuck what he is.
I like Bryn. She seems wonderful.
It's amazing. So I had to do a whole chapter that focused on her real quick.
So, I was thinking is that you should maybe start like posting your fanfic sites on the Spotify page.
I did.
Did you?
Yeah, the last episode where I talked about it, I posted my whole
good.
Like,
I'm glad that you
did under the description.
They are fantastic. For anyone who hasn't read them, I highly recommend you go and finding them. Find them and read them.
You still haven't read chapter 2 of the recent, the Tamlin and Nova one.
No, I haven't. I know. I totally haven't.
There's that little treat for you at the end.
I know. Well, here's like I feel like it's been a really weird couple months, right? Like I had October, my sister's wife, and then I read Divine Rivals because I was like, I need to finish Hosab, and I still haven't even finished that. And then Divine Rivals like sucked me in. It was so good. It's so like you have to read it.
I
still have to read
started
your five
Fourth
friends one.
Wing. I started Fourth Wing last night.
And what do you think?
I'm on page 10 and I already have 3 reels of theories, so there's that.
Oh, do you really? Because you want to know
I posted 3 reels of theories.
Wait, on your books and writing page? How come I didn't see that? I'm literally I started Iron Flame like earlier this morning, the second book, and it's like
I only read the last line of Iron Flame.
Don't fucking tell me. If you
And actually, I felt so vindicated because I was going to do so. I woke up today and I was like thinking about it, and I had this whole string of messages that I sent Steph because she was reading it today with like all my random theories that I was thinking up like all morning, even though I'm like, I'm not reading any further right now, but I'm thinking of a million theories. And so without spoiling you, I was like, I was going to do a reel about this theory that I think is going to happen with Zayden or whatever. And just so it's out there. And I read the last line of Iron Flame.
All right, that's it. I'm
so vindicated.
Wait a second. Can you kind of just give me like an idea or like a hint as to what it's about?
Okay, so I said in part 1 of my reel that when I start a new fantasy series, I always look for 3 things because there's always one or more of the 3 in the series, usually.
Oh my gosh.
The first are dramatic bait and switches with the main characters, whether it be they're not endgame or they turn into a villain or something of that sort. The second is like the people who they claim are dead are either not dead or in hiding or something.
Okay, yeah.
And the third one was a betrayal by a close friend. There's always like at least one of the 3 in fantasy books. Okay. So
say it.
If I say it, I'm gonna spoil everyone.
Wait, for Iron Flame, the last line? Yeah. Do you know how hard it is for me right now not to like go and read that last line?
I already said it actually, so if you were paying attention. I snuck it into my
Okay. So first of all,
I already said it. I snuck it into what I was just telling you.
Holy shit. Holy fucking shit. Are you serious?
I'm saying nothing.
Oh my god.
I didn't spoil anything.
Did I guess it?
I'm saying nothing.
Or is it gonna be like you said it was like a dramatic, like a betrayal of a friend that someone's in hiding. I thought it was the second one because like if you read it, it's like
what, the dead people not being dead. I'm still convinced either the father or the brother aren't dead, and I'm 10 pages in. I'm like, if I don't see a grave or a body, I'm automatically
I don't believe it.
Mama Archeron isn't dead. Papa Archeron is dead, but he might come back because necromancy. No facts. I don't think Papa Archeron's dead. We never saw a body, and we never saw a fucking grave. So one of the 2 or both are alive.
Oh my god. My life.
You read the first one, right?
Yeah. I'm not telling you shit. I'm just kidding. You can ask me a question. Go ahead. Wait, okay, just tell me, did I guess right?
I wasn't recording when we did the Fourth Wing thing, so we didn't spoil it for people.
No, I'm glad that you didn't. I'm glad that you didn't because my life is
pitchforks.
There would be pitchforks right now. My life is altered. Like literally, I need to go read like a page of Iron Flame before.
Now that I just dropped all the bombs from reading 8 pages, and I was like, I got this right. I got this right. I got this right. I did again. I don't know if I got the dad thing right.
we still don't know.
We don't know. We don't know about the dad. I still
is
feel
3
like
more
maybe
books.
he's alive. I don't know.
He could be. Well,
I don't know. Maybe if the book's been out for like a year or two, like you're on you to
Yeah.
not hear any spoilers. Have you
yeah,
heard
people
that?
are still mad when I like spoil ACOTAR in the comments. I'm like, this came out in like 2015, right?
So like that's the thing is if it's been out for multiple years, it's not a spoiler. It's your own fault that you
Your
haven't
own
like
fault if
read
you're
it.
trolling. Like,
Yes.
come on.
Don't be a troll. Don't be a troll.
Just don't be a troll.
Um,
It's just, yeah. I will never understand why Sarah J. Maas just, even the people that shouldn't have any sort of beef with Tamlin, like somehow has beef with Tamlin. Like
I have
Nesta,
been
like the
trying-
High Lords, like he was the one that met with them under the mountain after he killed Amarantha. And again, they were just suddenly on Rhys's side and they were condescending Tamlin and like questioning Tamlin's motives, like just because Rhys did.
It's super weird. I think about that all the time. That's like my Roman Empire is I'm like literally like
All the time.
trying to figure out like why people are like that with Tamlin. I don't get it.
Like it could just be an author's bias, but again, like why?
It could be.
Why?
But and you want to know what? Like I feel like as time goes on, I think that's what it is because like she does have bias, and you can it comes through not just with Tamlin, but like with other characters as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It makes me wonder.
That's why I'm just so interested how deep into the rabbit hole she's gonna go with Moore's secrets.
I know. I want to know like
excited.
how deep into the rabbit hole is she gonna go in general because she acts like she's not. She acts like people are crazy with the theories that they come up with. But like she's over here dropping these crazy little Easter eggs, and you're like,
I know.
Ma'am,
I have the worst memory. My editors have a Bible. Fuck no.
Okay, first of all,
your editors suck. I'm just gonna say that. Your editors suck. Unless every single retcon is gonna have some sort of explanation in a later book, like Rhys was messing with Fair's mind because it was all in her POV in the first trilogy, then I could explain it. Because again, my Roman Empire is like, when exactly did he take control of her mind? Or when exactly did he plant the light switch? Because there's multiple scenes where he could have planted the light switch.
See, I love that that's your belief. Like, I love it. That's not my belief is it's on Feyre. Like, Feyre is the bad. But I like where
the thing is, like, how can it only be Feyre when she has lived these supposed memories? And she's remembering them completely 180'd.
She's kind of like an emotional. I'm not trying to be rude, but like,
oh yeah, she's an emotional bitch, but
she's really immature, and she seems like she would like just twist things as time goes on, and like, I don't know. I think it's Feyre. I don't think she's a good person, honestly. She was in the first book. She was so cool. And then she became this horrible human being, like, or Fae, I guess.
Yeah. But, like, I've said this before, but I'm still convinced that it started in the fucking dining room scene.
But she makes a point to say that he brings it down. Like, she made a point to say that, because I went back and I read it.
But she also says that she still felt it in her head hours later. She still felt that power resonating in her head hours later.
I always thought
he installed some shit. He installed some shit like an electrician.
I will be amazed if that's the case.
I would love for that to be the case, because please do something fucking interesting with them. They're boring as fuck now. Please do something interesting. If you're going to cling on to Faizan that fucking hard, do something fun with them.
Yeah.
Like, I can't. Just do something interesting with them.
It was
Make
it
them the
was
bad
really
guy.
yeah, it was really hard for me to read Feyre starting out where she started out, which was like this really, and we've talked about this
Yeah.
amazing female. She was awesome, like so cool. And she just became this horrific person. And like it was
It's the
really hard
light
as a reader.
switch.
I don't
It's
know.
the
I
fucking
don't know.
because literally. So she meets him at Calumet. And you can't tell me that this all powerful, most powerful, whatever, didn't kind of get a clue that she was his mate then. Because he even says, oh, I kind of had a hint. Like, dude, you're 500 years old. You know what that means, okay?
Yeah.
Come
Yeah.
on. And then, like, Under the Mountain, how he did all that shit to her. And then, even Under the Mountain, when he's not around, what does she say? Oh, I prepared to be defiled and degraded, or whatever the fuck she says again. And then he's escorting her back to her cell, or like escorting her through the halls in a couple scenes later. And she's like, well, he only touched like my waist and nothing more than that. Like, first of all, bitch, you don't remember because you were fucking drugged. You don't remember. He can fix your paint with the snap of his fingers. Secondly, and thirdly, why are your memories only befuddled when he's in proximity to you? It's weird.
I will freak out. If that's truly the twist, I will lose my mind.
Prince of Hell shit. Prince of Hell shit.
I would love it. I like regardless, I do love Restan. I do love him. Like, but I told you, he's to me, he's like the villain. So it's like I love villains. They're so good, but
like I don't know.
I know.
I hate when people say he's morally gray because everyone likes to say he's perfect, so then where's the fucking gray? If you honestly think he's so perfect and he always did everything for Feyre and for the good of Prithian, where's the fucking gray?
I love
You love him for being morally gray, but you won't let him be gray.
I love how you said that. That whole snippet right there. That was really well said, Melanie.
It shocks me. Oh, I love the morally gray ones. Okay, then let him be fucking gray.
Yes.
Stop
Preach it.
justifying all of it. Stop. You're supposed to love his awfulness too. That is part of being gray. That's what taints the white to make it gray.
Yes,
Basic colors that we learned in kindergarten. Darkness and lightness make gray. Embrace his awfulness. Admit he was awful. I can admit that there were cute scenes at Starfall, and maybe the inn scene was hot.
Yes. Melody,
I can admit the little sparkles of goodness. So you can admit his fucking awfulness.
Yes.
Let him be fucking gray.
Well said. Yes.
I still will say that he's more morally dark because he does have more bad moments than good moments.
I agree.
Like, I always see everything as like a scale.
Yeah. I like
so that's why I'm like, Tamlin is mostly good because everything was done with good intentions.
Yes.
He never intended for anybody to get hurt. He was literally trying to protect her from Hybern. He didn't know about Valaris or any of that stuff. So we have to remember what he knew. And then with Rhys, like, he knew the monsters were after her. He threw her to the adder. He knew the Weaver was going to try to eat her. He threw her to the Weaver.
Yes.
Like, he knew the wards around Tarquin's whatever might block out their power. Almost got her drowned. Didn't tell her about her pregnancy risk. Like, he's a lot more morally dark than morally gray.
Yes.
That's how I see him. But if you want him
Yes.
to be true gray, you have to acknowledge the bad with the good.
I know. I know. You said that so well. Like, I want to cut that and like literally post it everywhere because that was perfect. There's nothing wrong with a morally gray character. It's okay that they're morally gray. That's how they're written. That's what they're supposed to be like. Why are we trying to make him a saint?
I'm very interested in Koshi. I know he's supposed to be like the bad guy, and is probably also very morally dark, more than morally gray, but I don't hate villains. I just hate villains that pretend that they're heroes.
Right. That's the problem. Okay, I hate people who try to push them as the hero when like truly they've done bad things. And that's the problem with the fandom. But also
they're so backwards.
It's so backwards. But where does the fandom get this from? Like it has to come from the source, right? So SJM kind of has to paint Rhysand that way.
Yeah. Like,
because like
the people that are like, oh, he sexually assaulted her to save her, or oh, he tortured her to save her life. He was just setting the bone. First of all, he wasn't setting any fucking bone because it wasn't her bone. It was the bone from the fucking worms thing that was infected and impaling her. He twisted it.
It
wasn't her bone. He wasn't setting her bone. Let's just clear that up.
People don't read or they twist the words, clearly.
Like, he does that on purpose to force her into the bargain so he could be the one to actually possess her like a trophy, which y'all love to say that Tamlin did. But Roose actually did that, not Tamlin.
He did do that. And also, like, I think a lot about, like, Tamlin. He would have told Feyre about that pregnancy
absolutely.
issue. Yeah.
Absolutely.
He would have told Feyre.
He would have fucking fought Amarantha. He would have given himself over to Amarantha if there was any chance of some sort of cure for anything pregnancy related that she ran into.
Totally.
If Amarantha was like, I will make sure your kid is healthy and that she delivers and she doesn't die, he would fucking give himself over to her.
Absolutely, he would. Absolutely.
He would have done anything, and he wouldn't have kept it from her either.
No. My biggest concern is at this point, he's going to have a sacrificial death to save Nyx. I think that's where we're going. Yeah.
That's how I wrote. I wrote a fic like that. Did I tell you that?
No.
It was one of my very first fics, which I didn't even like writing it, but it was just this idea that I had. It's called a Court of Thornless Roses. Oh. And it's basically the Koshi War with the queens. And he jumps in front of Feyre when one of the queens attacks her with like dark magic. And it literally just burns a hole through him. And
no.
Kind of
no.
Feyre actually feels bad, and she has like all these like not flashbacks, but like she remembers kind of like all the good times or whatever, and she's like, why? And it was like he knew what she meant, and he's like, because you have a son. Like,
are you just trying to make me cry tonight?
Like, he saw his mother die. He's like, you have a son. And at the very end, when he like fades into dust or whatever, all these roses grow from where his ashes go over the
flame. Melody.
And there's no thorns on them. And then Feyre's like, what he didn't know was that like she was carrying Nyx's sister. I don't think he's gonna die in canon. There's already way too many opportunities. I really don't think he's gonna die in canon. But
yeah,
everyone was saying it, and it's still a popular thing. So I had to write a fic about if it were to happen, how I how I would want it to happen.
Well, that was super sad, and it made me cry. And I'm
It's
super bummed out.
it's way more emotional than my 2-minute summary, so
It's just like, also, he's done enough for Feyre. Like, he needs to stop. It needs to end. Like,
it needs to
you
stop.
don't.
Like,
He doesn't
you've
need to save
done
her.
enough. You don't need to.
No. Literally, he needs
You've
to
done
take care
it.
of himself.
You've made up for it.
Yeah.
It.
He's atoned over and over and over and over more than anyone in the series.
ACOTAR was his fucking redemption. If you want to
Right.
call it redemption.
Right. Like, let's just like give the man a fucking break. I've never seen a character treated like a punching bag like Tamlin in my entire life. I've never read a book like that. It makes me so
It makes
mad.
no sense.
Like,
I've complained about this before, but again, the way that Sarah writes him as justified in everything, and then in her interviews, like, trashes him, like, Tamlin, like, you really do have that bad of a memory.
She does not strike me as the type of person that has a bad memory. She seems meticulous.
How can you do a crossover if you have that bad of a memory? Come on.
She does. Yeah, she's just playing it off like she's got a bad memory because she doesn't want people to put the little pieces together and be like, holy shit, you know. Oh, I have a bad memory, so I wrote this like this. No, you didn't.
And
Sarah,
the way that she totally waved off, oh, thank God Tamlin's over with. There's no way Tamlin's over with. Just by the way you wrote it, there's no possible way that anything Tamlin related is over with.
She's either a phenomenal actress, she has to be, right? Or her editors are awful. I don't know.
I don't know. What I told someone the other day when they were like, oh, she's definitely going to kill him off. I go, even aside from the fact that I think she had multiple opportunities and all of that stuff, I go, if that were true, tell me what the entire point was of inserting a family that has Spring Court powers into Crescent City. Flynn's entire fucking family has Spring Court powers.
What did they say? What did that person say to you?
And they're like, oh, that's a good point. And I was like, yeah. Why? If she was so done with the Spring Court, why did she send Lucien back there from ACOTAR on? Aside from my theory about how he would have definitely told Feyre about the wings, and Rhys just wanted him out of the picture at that point. But why would she send him back to Spring to try to restore Tamlin if she hates Tamlin that much?
Or she's gonna make a move to out Tamlin and put Lucien and Elaine as the High Lord and Lady.
I was thinking Flynn. Because if you think about it, remember how I said that Declan's family, or at least Declan, has powers from the Dawn Court?
Yeah.
And he's also like a hacker, a tinkerer, and he has the healing. So if Declan's family and Rune's family and Tristan's family all actually hail from Prythian, and they all actually come back to Prythian, and Rune could still be with his best friends, I could see Flynn being forced to take over Spring, because
I could see it.
Because like we said with the mirrors, like he's like, oh, I never wanted this crap. Just like Tamlin.
I know.
Did you see the reel that I posted today with I think it was Crazy K? She does all these crazy cosplays, and she's really good at it. She does like goddesses and stuff a lot of the time.
Oh,
so
no.
She had a reel, and she was playing some goddess. I don't know exactly what goddess it was, and it was to like this song, and the end was like, you will respect your king or whatever, but it was like a female goddess. And I put under it, say this word for word because it was awesome. Says the queen is dead, and the villagers go, "What do we do? Who will protect us?" And she says, "Long live the king." And then like all of her power bursts from her as a female. And so I said, but can you imagine if Fazand were actually the ones to die and Lauren came back, which we know she might come back, to rule the Night Court and take care of Nyx and Rune. And Rune stuck around too and helped his dad, Tamlin.
So fucking cool.
Can you imagine if Lauren was actually more powerful than Rhys and her father conspired with the knowledge of Tamlin's father's plan to get her killed, and Tam just ended up saving her first because he loved her?
Yeah. Yeah. I like if she wrote that would be
Top
gold.
tier. Top tier. There's no such thing as high ladies, and then there is now. There was before.
Yeah.
Is that why Rhys made her a high lady? Because he was guilty that he took it from his sissy?
I don't know.
Well, he thinks she's dead. But I feel like it would be such a good story even if it was like Azriel, if Azriel spilled the tea and he was like, look, his sister was more powerful than him.
Yeah.
And
that'd be so cool.
His dad did not like that.
Awesome. I know.
His dad did not like that. Like with the female stuff, especially in Illyrian, half Illyrian.
Especially like after what happened with Thea and her daughters.
Exactly.
Right?
Oh my god. She would never kill Fazan, but like the opportunities.
She has so many good options that she could like go with at this point. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know though. I feel like she's gonna pull one on us.
All in my fic ideas. All in my
I love your fics. I love your fic. Everyone who's listening, you have to go read Melanie's fics. I'm telling you, you will not be sorry. She's such a good writer.
Thanks.
I love it. Your stuff is so good.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi guys. Our episodes at this point are like spliced in half, like almost evenly throughout, because it's like a combination of a few nights that we just spliced together.
It's been a weird winter though. You know what I mean? Like fall, winter time.
Yeah. I feel like everyone's just on a weird schedule and there's just a lot of like sickness and
oh my gosh, yes.
Bullshit are happening. Like,
it's either you're sick or I'm sick or the kids are sick or
yeah.
And plus also we need to acknowledge that like Iron Flame came out, which I know, you know, I've been deep diving in, like you were kind of starting to read Fourth Wing a little bit. So there's a lot of stuff that's been going on.
I'm actually hot take. I'm actually glad that I know how it ends when I go into the beginning.
Wait, why?
Because I don't know. I feel like I don't know. My mind just creates like this like railroad track from like beginning to end, and then I can guess like what needs to happen along the way. For this to happen or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I was excited. I kind of guessed it anyway. Like I told you.
You did guess it.
I was like 10, 12 pages into Fourth Wing.
I was actually really shocked, like when you had said, because you guys like literally Mel's like it's one of three things, like list this and this off, and like immediately she got it with like her second choice, and I was shocked. Like I'm like, how did she know that?
I'm so used to fantasy books at this point. It's my 3-point guide. It's my 3-point guide.
I think you were saying that you made a video about that. Is that correct on your Instagram page?
Yeah. So when I first opened Fourth Wing, I made a couple reels about a couple of my guesses. I did not post all of my guesses, but I was right about a couple more of them. So
you will have to do a Fourth Wing and Iron Flame.
Yeah.
Couple of episodes because the book is so I'm reading Iron Flame right now and it's so fucking good. It's so good.
Yeah, if I did a reel after you guys are hearing this, like about the theories that I had that I was right about, like that would be a massive spoiler. So
Yeah. We won't talk about it here, but
I will probably stop doing reactions or theories because I commented on someone's reel because they had like it was like a Iron Flame reactions or whatever, and they sliced together all their reactions, and I was like, I read the last few chapters first, and I haven't even read all of Fourth Wing yet. And they're like, oh, and I was like, well, I guessed it anyway, so I mean, either way, it wouldn't have been too shocking to me.
so fucking that's crazy to me.
But
I still can't get over the fact that you guessed it. Like I literally read Fourth Wing, couldn't guess it, could not guess it. Was reading Iron Flame, never would have guessed like half the stuff that's been happening with this. So that's pretty amazing.
And I was like, this, right, to be determined.
Yeah. It's good though. It's really good. I saw this woman, I think it's called like, I don't know. Her whole thing is like she's a hater.
Mm-hmm.
And she was trying.
Gotta love the haters. They're some of the best content people, though. I'm just saying. People would call me a hater, but honestly, I think my content is more just Tamlin positive rather than just.
Yeah, yours is not hating. Yours is Tamlin positive.
I do have some Phasand hate content, but it's not that often. I tend to stick with more Tamlin positive, Lucian positive, that kind of stuff.
Right. Well, our whole thing is that like Tamlin really didn't do a whole lot wrong. So
we're gonna go into a whole rant about Tamlin if we keep this up.
Yeah.
I told you we have to do, whether you want to do 5 different videos or just one big long episode, we need to do an episode titled Tamlin Debunked about all the fucking fandom bullshit that people say that never canonically happened.
That never happened.
And go through and say what actually happened.
I'm in. Like, you don't even have to, like, I could do Tamlin Debunked for like 6 videos and be like, this and this and this, because I'm so upset about it.
Yeah. I feel like maybe I feel like maybe we could make it like a series, like just a Tamlin Debunked series. Like episode 1 would be A Court of Thorns and Roses, and then episode 2 would be like A Court of Mist and Fury, what really happened with the breakdown of the relationship, and then what he really did in ACOTAR, and then like how he was treated in ACOTAR, and like even the little bit that he was in A Court of Silver Flames, like all that shit. Like I feel like we should do like deep dives of all the books.
We absolutely should, and we should totally, like, I want to talk about ACOTAR because everyone skips it, and there's like a lot that goes on.
So mad, you say this so much. You're like,
I fucking furious.
I'll say this.
Because it's like we're on the Facebook group, right? And everyone's like, I finished ACOTAR. Do I really need to read ACOTAR? It's like, you guys, she fucking wrote it for a reason.
You know what gets me so
triggers me.
You know what triggers me so irrevocably much?
What?
When people fucking call it a cute little Christmas special. I can't stand that shit.
Why can't you stand
What about this fucking book screams
cute
little Hallmark special to you? The one fucking gift giving scene amongst the bullshit? No!
I literally could sit and listen to you just like talk all day about ACOTAR because it's so funny to me. Like the shit that you say is like so fucking funny.
I can't stand that shit. And I see it so often every time. It's like a fucking knife. I get so mad.
Well,
how dare you say it's cute? How dare you say it's a cute book?
It's literally so like half the book is like Okay, so it's a third. It's a third. A third of the book is like Feyre and Rhysand and like the whole baby thing, like where that comes from. A third of the book is like Cassie and Nesta, which like I personally like live for because I love them. And then a third of the book is like Rhys trying to prompt Tamlin to kill himself, slash Tamlin being suicidal, slash Rhys bullying Tamlin, and everyone's like,
A court of banging and bullying. I told you. That's what I call it. What's ACOTAR? It's ACOBAB.
Disney bullies, like they're so fucking mean to Tamlin.
They're mean to Tamlin. They're mean to Nesta. They're mean to Lucian.
Yes, they're mean to so many people. It's like just the inner circle, just like being like rabid on everyone around them. You know, like
just fucking in the sky, reckless abandon,
in the sky. Which to me, I'm not sure I understand that. Like, I'm not sure. Like, I understand where
it's weird.
I can't get over it. I actually think that that's what's worse than the whole pregnancy trope, if you ask me. Everyone's like, fuck the pregnancy trope. I'm like, hell, I understand the pregnancy trope.
Fine. Yeah.
It's the fucking in the sky that I don't get.
The logistics of that just don't make any sense. But anyways.
Whatever.
I sent you something the other day when I was at work because I was doing more little deep dives into mythology.
I love it.
And it was about something that Lanthus said.
So in Silver Flames.
In Silver Flames. Yes. So he says, I rode in the Wild Hunt. So I looked up the Wild Hunt because I'm actually kind of not super familiar with it, but I have read books with the Wild Hunt in it.
Oh, have you really?
Like What Lies Beyond the Veil. Have you read that trilogy yet?
I actually haven't. Well, I haven't. No.
It's darker than ACOTAR, but that's actually the book that got me back into reading. I was fucking obsessed with it.
You need to send that to me so I can see it.
But yeah, What Lies Beyond the Veil, I fucking love that book.
So it's about the
Wild I usually Hunt? Don't like darker themes, so the first book isn't that dark, actually.
Okay.
And like my little 3-part system, the 3-part guide that I made up, it does follow that as well. There's a dramatic bait and switch with the main characters, but book 2 is a lot darker, which I didn't think I would like, but it actually works with the plot, and there's a huge cliffhanger, and I actually haven't gotten to book 3 because the group convinced me to read Crescent City instead.
Crescent City was worth it too, wasn't it?
So now I'm like, I still need to finish the 3rd book, and I started this like April of 2022, like the trilogy. I still need to read the 3rd book because it picks up after the cliffhanger. And now everyone's like, read Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, and I'm like, fucking hell.
That's how I am right now. I have like a quarter left of HOSAB that I have to get through that we've talked about for like weeks and weeks. But like Iron Flame, like, and then I read Divine Rivals, which I highly recommend to everybody. It's so freaking good.
I will read that at some point too.
It's phenomenal. Like, she's amazing. And then Iron Flame is so fucking good. There's so many good things. Like so much good material out.
I have seen so many mixed reviews on it. So many.
On Iron Flame?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I've seen so many people be like, this was way too rushed, or she used a ghostwriter, or she used AI, and the writing is not up to par with Fourth Wing. They're like, we like the plot, but the writing is not the same as Fourth Wing, and it's dramatically different, and you can tell that she either used a ghostwriter to get it done or was aided by AI. I've seen so many people say that.
People said that, really? They're so stupid. You know what? Like, I'll admit that maybe her grammar isn't the best.
Yeah, and they're like, well, she does have like a contract, obviously, with her publisher, and they were pushing her to finish the book in 6 months.
She,
So
yeah, I think she even said herself, like in a recent interview that I
she
was
was
listening to, that
rushed for this
yeah,
book. Yeah. Because they
she
wanted to get it
basically
out.
said that she didn't sleep. She just wrote
Yeah.
the second book. And so I'm sure, like,
Yeah. And I feel like if you're a mood writer like me, like
yeah,
forcing it is definitely not the best.
yeah, no,
I
no.
told you.
I mean,
I told you I haven't written in my book since probably May or June, and it was like a paragraph. And then
yeah,
I kind of got stuck again, and then I'll go back and I'll add like a sentence or two when I'm in the mood, or stuff like that. But unless I like really have the juices flowing, like
yeah.
forcing it just isn't gonna sound good.
No, I will
So it could be
never.
that.
It could be that. It could be that. I did see one girl. Hold on, 1 second.
Mhm.
Um, say the AI thing. It was on that video. But I'll tell you something. I don't think she used AI because the plot is different.
Mhm.
It is different, especially like in particular the second book.
Mhm.
I could see how maybe like you would read Fourth Wing and like immediately think of Sarah J. Maas. Like I understand that. But the second book is drastically different than her writing style. So
Yeah. But
people are
anyways,
dumb.
you need to read What Lies Beyond the Veil, that trilogy.
I'll take it. I'll
She's,
put it on my TBR.
I swear to God, I don't know what fucking possessed me to buy that book because I literally hadn't really read since like 8th grade. I
Yeah.
used to be an obsessive reader as a kid.
Yes.
And then like high school came and I did volleyball and I did sports and then the whole college thing and then, work and all that stuff,
Yes.
adult stuff. And I just like didn't ever have time to read. And so
Yeah.
I was on Instagram because for some godforsaken reason, I thought it would be a good idea to start a poem account.
Oh, I like that.
I'm
I didn't know
not,
that about you.
I don't love writing poetry,
Poetry.
but I'm not bad at writing poetry. So
Yeah.
I put up all of my poems on my Instagram page, and it actually started as poems and writing.
Oh, I love
And for
that.
people that don't know, and I had like all my poems up, and it was like a huge poetry account for a little bit. And I randomly got this like ad for like What Lies Beyond the Veil, like a fantasy book or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I haven't really written it. I haven't really read anything in a while. And like, my grandmother had died a couple years before that. And she always loved when I read. And she would always take me to like the huge bookstore and all that stuff. So I was like, oh, I'll try it out. Fucking obsessed. Like I was like 2 chapters in, I was fucking hooked.
Are you serious? Isn't it
It's like
crazy?
immediate action. I was like,
You're like, this is what I've been missing in my life this whole time.
yeah. Also, I was convinced for the longest time that her brother did not actually die. Like, I'm always like this. I'm like, he's not dead. He's not dead. We didn't see his body. He's not dead. And like, he's pretty dead. I think he's pretty dead. By the 3rd book, he isn't back. So
I do the same thing because I just can't accept it. Like there's a character in Fourth Wing and Iron Flame that's dead, and like in my mind I'm like, he's coming back. He'll be back by the end of the book. It's the same with Danica and Connor in Crescent City because I was so upset by Connor's death. Like so devastated by that because we're just gonna go on the date and start dating. But apparently he's not coming back. He's dead.
I know. Yeah.
Dead. So
we have Ethan though.
I love Ethan.
I love Ethan. So my personal prediction is that Sarah J. Maas is going to do Crescent City 4, that it is going to be House of Many Waters, and I think it's going to be a split Therian and Ethan book.
I would love it. I would eat that shit up.
First of all, House of Many Waters, it has to be Therian's book.
Yeah.
Because of how they left it in Crescent City 2, and I don't really see him being a gigantic part of Crescent
The
City
next one?
3, especially with how he left it with the Viper Queen and all that. So that stuff has to be sorted. Like,
Oh god.
they have to save him from that bitch. Like, someone's got to save him from that bitch. And then there's that like whole breaking off his marriage thing, and that's why he went to the Viper Queen and all that stuff. And then we
He's in
have
trouble.
the fucking epilogue where like Ethan woke up his supposed mate and stuff. So I definitely think it's going to be a Therian
The duel.
Ethan's dual book.
I hope so. I hope so. I saw a lot of people online that were like, I'm so bored with Ethan's perspectives. And I'm like, how could you guys
How?
be bored? Ethan's the best. He's like so cool, you know?
Yeah. I love. Yeah, I love that. But
I do.
she was, I don't know if you know, you probably do. But a while back, trying to think how many months ago. Probably like 6 months ago now. Maybe I'm overshotting it a little. But Sarah J. Maas announced that she had another or like a new contract with Bloomsbury for an additional 4 books, but she wouldn't say what series they were for.
Of course she wouldn't.
So
That's Sarah.
we know, but this was in addition to the 2 novels and novella that we already know we're getting for ACOTAR.
So okay, so this
So
could
technically
potentially
7
be
more books.
these could be more ACOTAR books. This could be more
Crescent City books.
maybe a Tog
So
book, maybe.
the rumor, I don't know if she actually said it, but the rumor is that 2 of them are going to be for her new series, Twilight of the Gods.
Twilight of the Gods, 2 of them.
So that leaves CC4 and an extra ACOTAR book.
ACOTAR book.
Better be fucking Tamlin's. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. It has to be.
It's got to be Aleutian and Tamlin's book, I think, because it would make the most sense to me for her to start with Tamlin and then to end with Tamlin.
Yeah. So yeah, like the 3 that she already had scheduled, I completely believe are Gwynriel, Aleutian, and Morin Eris's novella.
Yeah,
because that makes sense.
Yeah,
But I need Tamlin's book to be last. As much as I don't want to wait for it at all and be like fucking 40 by the time it comes out, like I still need it.
You know what's so funny is I also think it'll be the last book because then like people who hate Tamlin just like won't read it. They'll just be like,
yeah. We were like, they don't even have to if it's the last. But I'm actually kind of scared that she will forego a Tamlin book and instead do a like a Winter Court novel, because didn't she say she wanted to do a rendition of the Snow Queen, the Ice Queen, or whatever, which is literally Vivian. And like everyone's like, what's their childhood friends to lovers story and all of that? And like, yes, I would love a Vivian and Callias book that explained all of their history and everything, but I think it would be better as a novella and not a full-length novel.
Yeah, because it's just like doesn't. I mean, I know she can write anything in. You know, it doesn't really like.
She could do 1,000,001 novellas about like every character. Let's be honest.
Let's be honest. I mean, and I love Vivian and Callias, but like I would rather read about Tamlin.
Yeah, exactly. Like I could read a full-length book about Tamlin, like when his court is finally up and running, and like even if she got another contract down the line for like additional books or an additional novella, I feel like if Tamlin's book wasn't last, I feel like his book would actually be a really good segue into Vivian and Callias's novella, specifically because of my theory that Briar is his mate, because she's in the Winter Court.
Yeah, that would be really
so like if they lose her as like a family member, and you know they're trying to like cope with like, okay, she like moved to the Spring Court, like do we trust Tamlin with her, and like because she's kind of part of our family now, and like I'm convinced that they had a girl because I'm delusional. They probably had a son because
No.
female power, right, Sarah J. Maas? But she had that Phasion have a son, but it's none of my business. But I'm convinced that Vivian Goliath had a girl. But like her growing up and maybe the Winter Court trying to change the laws to like include more females in positions of power, whereas Tarquin's court would try to include lesser fae in positions of power.
I love that idea. At this point, I honestly have no clue where she's going to take any. I understand the Koshi storyline and the mythology behind that, but I feel like this is going to be really interesting to see how she ties everything back in.
Yeah. Like if I have my own like layout of how I would want the rest of the series to go, like all the books too. Like I like know what I would want all of them to be about, like plot, everything.
Wow.
I'm fucking crazy.
It. No.
But like Hofast, like I would want Hofast to be intertwined with the Koshi storyline to get that the fuck over with. And then the Gwynriel stuff, like there's so much shit with Azriel we have no idea. There's so much shit with Gwen, with her paternity and her relationships to the priestesses at the library, like how she still copes with the loss of Katrin, like flashbacks of Katrin and her mom, and like there's so much of that stuff there. Like there's so much content for Gwynriel for their own book without Koshi. And then Aleutian, we have Lucian's paternity, and we have Elaine deciding to leave the Night Court officially, how her sisters are going to react, you know, them moving to the Day Court, you know, Lucian discovering his spell cleaving powers, training with those, Elaine learning how to fly a Pegasi, like there's all that stuff, and like her learning to hone her seer powers. For like there's so much content that doesn't include war. I feel like it's so unnecessary to the plot to put a war in every single book because it's just going to get repetitive.
Yeah. I think you've said like so much of it so well too. She has a lot of content. So like ending it almost in 4 books in a novella to me seems not maybe like it's going to be hard to do.
I almost feel like, I don't know if I should say this because the Elaine girlies are going to get mad at me. But I almost feel like we basically know the Gwynriel book is next, right? Azriel's book.
Yeah, I think
so. I do think it's going to be Gwynriel. I don't think she's going to go right into the next novel with Elaine and Lucian because the whole thing keeping people, or a lot of people, hooked is not knowing a lot about Lucian and wanting Lucian content. And the Elaine girlies want Elaine content. So I feel like it's going to go Gwynriel and then Eris and Moore's shit, especially if he's connected to Gwen. And then the Eris and Moore stuff can also tie into Lucian and Elaine. Because, again, Lucian's brother. Whether they're the only 2 of Helian's sons or not.
Yeah.
That would tie into the Day Court stuff.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, that Lucian or whatever could tie back into the Spring Court stuff. Like, he could still be an emissary even though he's an heir because he has friends in every court.
True.
He is Tamlin's wingman with girls, so he's gonna need a little help with Briar too, I feel like. So like that could lead into the Spring Court book. The Spring Court book could lead into the Winter Court novella. The Winter Court novella can lead into, you know, like some equality initiative for the Lesser Fae in summer. Females in Lesser Fae. And like I feel like the Dawn Court's gonna tie into like Hofast in some way. Like the Solar Courts are gonna tie into.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see it too.
But even if there was like a fucking Dawn Court novella, like give me more Nuon, give me more Thesan. Like, what the fuck is his lover's name? Please name these people.
I was never very into like Thesan and like his lover. I don't know. It never really like
The High
grabbed
Lords
me.
meeting, it was their dynamic was so funny to me. Not really funny. It was very cute to me
Yeah.
because their dynamic is kind of what all of the High Lords and their partners' dynamics should be. And the fact that they were the outcast just because they were gay was kind of not funny, but it was just interesting because they have like the healthiest dynamic other than Vivian and Kalai. Out of all of the High Lords with their partners, like Baron's an abusive piece of shit. Reese is kind of an abusive piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like Tamlin has nobody at this point. Tarquin has nobody except his cousins at this point.
Yeah.
But we had like Thesan's lover like stepping in front of him, and it's like he's the High Lord, so like that just was so funny and cute to me. I was like,
It would be
he's the High
fun to
Lord.
learn.
He's the one with all the power, and like his lover is like stepping in front of him, like the general,
I love
and like
it.
holding his hand. That was so cute.
I love that. That's so
So-
sweet.
so,
I
like,
was
I
really
wanna know-
surprised.
I want to know more about that. I want to know if Nuon has labs all over the Dawn Court and like people work under her, and she's like this huge mastermind. Like, I need to know this stuff. I need to know.
There's so much that she could write. She, you know,
so
I
much.
don't
Like,
know.
I feel like I don't know why I feel like Lucian and Tarquin are kind of BFFs. I always just had that vibe, even though they've never really spoken on page.
Well,
Like I feel like they would be
They
really similar, like
Yes.
chatty besties.
Tarquin is like the man. He's like so
Yeah.
chill, laid back, like, and Lucian's the same. He gets along with everybody. Like
I feel like Lucian would send people blood rubies to be like, fuck you. Instead of saying it to their face, he'd just like send Farah a blood ruby and be like, you want thin ice, bitch? You know?
Yes.
But like with his whole history with Jasminda, like I feel like he could work on like a lesser fae equality thing in the summer court.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. There's so much.
But that's why I want him to be High King, because he has connections to everybody.
No, he is gonna be High King.
Everybody.
He's the only person that makes sense because he's been in every single court.
Yeah. He has friends in every single court in the Mortal Lands.
Our High King theory is absolutely correct.
Yeah, it has to be.
Sorry.
Hello.
Hello.
Back because we went totally off the rails.
Yeah, we did.
We were not doing well last night at all.
Last night was a struggle. It was not going well.
We were half here on this planet and just half not. I don't even know half of what we said.
I think you and I are both so sleep deprived that we just like go like we understand each other, but nobody else does.
Nobody else.
You can grunt,
It's fine. It's
like, and I'd be like, yeah, I understand completely what you just said.
Back to the Wild Hunt, because that turned into the different book series that we liked.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway, I was saying that it says the Wild Hunt is a folklore motif occurring across various European cultures. They typically involve a chase led by a mythological figure escorted by a ghostly or supernatural group of hunters engaged in pursuit. The leader of the hunt is often a named figure associated with Odin in Germanic legends, but may variously be a historical or legendary figure, like Theodore the Great, blah, 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 all these people. Or the Welsh psychopomp Gwyn ap Nudd, biblical figures such as Herod Cain or the devil, or an identified lost soul or spirit, either male or female. The hunters are generally the souls of the dead or ghostly dogs, sometimes fairies, valkyries, or elves.
Valkyries?
Fairies, Valkyries, or elves.
Fairies? Valkyries or elves? Okay.
So, not to confuse people, but I'm going to just kind of go by my little tiny notes here. Let's start with the hunters are generally ghostly dogs. And when it says the leader of the hunt, or one of them could have been Gwen Apnod, I looked him up, and it says he was depicted as a wild huntsman riding a demon horse who hunts souls at night along with a pack of white-bodied and red-eared dogs of hell. In Arthurian legends, he is the king of the underworld who makes sure that the imprisoned devils do not destroy human souls. Also known as the, I'm going to totally butcher this, Swin Anwin. Which means the other world in Welsh mythology. Essentially a world of delights and eternal youth, identified as the Christian afterlife or heaven. So the dogs are what I basically got from this is that the dogs are technically hellhounds, but at the same time the opposite of hellhounds.
Why do you say the opposite of the Hellhounds?
Because, like I said, they're called the Onwin or whatever, and the Onwin is another name for Otherworld, which is heaven. And they're white; they're not black. They're white dogs with red ears. So I'm wondering if when the Hellhounds were created, they kind of like the balance of life, good and bad. How like if there's good hounds, there's bad hounds. If there's a devil, there's a god. If there's, kind of like
Yes.
the eternal cycle or whatever they call that.
Yes.
But I also wanted to point out that it says the ghostly hounds are usually abducted to the fairy kingdom or the underworld. So Highburn Underking vibes.
Or hell. Or hell.
Yeah. That is Arthurian legend. We've been talking about the King Arthur stuff. Lanthus actually says that he rode in the Wild Hunt.
I forgot that he said that. That he rode in the Wild Hunt. I totally forgot about that.
He did. Yes. So Nesta says that her sword's name is Ataraxia. Lanthus laughs at her. And then she says, "It shall slay you whether you like its name or not." "Oh, I do not think so," Lanthus seethed. "I rode in the Wild Hunt before you were even a scrap of existence witch from Orid. I summoned the hounds, and the world cowered at their baying. I galloped at the head of the Wild Hunt, and Fae and Beast bowed before us." So, Lanthus has to be... Well, we know that he was some sort of god. Basically,
Yeah.
he was one of the death gods.
Uh-huh.
"Which death god are you?" Lanthus asked Nesta, because he couldn't really figure out what Nesta is. "Which female Thur?"
It's interesting because, like, how many death gods are there? Right?
So many.
You would think that there would be...
You would think that would be a lot.
That they would all know each other, though. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And like, what exactly is a death god? Or like, because if she's
Well, so the planet,
female
as we were saying, the planet of the gods is the Asteres planet. It's no longer there. It's dust. So then they basically moved to other planets. Some of
right?
them got trapped in Prothean, some of them in Crescent City. Yeah, he goes into this whole long thing about Nesta, and then he says, "Come with me, Queen of Queens. We shall return what was once lost." There's something with Nesta. There's something with Nesta where everyone's calling her the Queen of Queens. Like, but Mora's also called a queen.
Well, I'm kind
So-
of surprised because like Nesta at this point's kind of like leveling up on Feyre, right? Like, I don't know.
Which is, I think, why SJM's like, shit, she has to lose most of her power.
Oh yeah,
Annoying.
Do we know if SJM's always going to keep Feyre like above everybody else? Kind
I
of.
have no idea.
Yeah. Okay.
He says, obviously she doesn't take him up on it, but he says, we shall rebuild what we were before the golden legions of the Fae cast off their chains and overthrew us. I told you Lanthus was an Asteri. I told you Lanthus was an Asteri.
I'm
Fucking
not
knew it.
convinced. I'm not
Fucking
convinced.
knew it. Overthrew
I don't
us.
know.
He's a Daglin, which means he's an Asteri. We shall resurrect the wild hunt and ride rampant through the night. We shall build palaces of ice and flame, palaces of darkness and starlight. Magic shall flow untethered again. He's a fucking Asteri.
I don't know. I'm like not. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, and then it says Nesta could see the portrait he wove into the air around them, saw herself on a black throne, a matching crown in her unbounded hair. Enormous onyx beasts scaled like those she'd seen on the hewn city pillars lay at the foot of the dais. Their kingdom was endless, their palace built of pure magic that lived and thrived around them. The harp sat behind them on an altar, the mask too. But the golden crown wasn't there, it rested atop Lanthus's head. And then, remember, Lanthus is the one that shows her the horn.
Yeah, he does it. He knew about that.
Mm-hmm. A fourth object lay on the altar, veiled in shadow, but she couldn't make out more than the gleam of age-worn bone. He'd seen the harp, known she was after the trope, and revealed what he would do with it, the crown he'd claimed for himself. It would have no influence over her, but their rule would be one of coercion and enslavement. Asteri. Yup.
What?
And she
Okay.
killed him with ataraxia. Girl.
Why would Reese keep an Asteri in the jail though? Why wouldn't he just kill him?
I mean, apparently it like took a lot to get him in there. Like Cassian,
Yeah, with the
was
mirror and
terrified.
Cassian. Yeah.
So
I love Cassian.
I mean,
so much.
why does he keep a Prince of Hell in Hewn City?
Well, he can't come out, right? He's like stuck there.
Assumedly. Yeah.
Assumedly.
Assumedly. And then remember how Lanthus like almost kills Cassian.
Don't remind me how he threw my man against the wall and like bashed his head in.
Yeah, he like bashed his head in. Yeah.
Love Cassian so much.
But anyway, I said I haven't made my point yet. I'm like going back and forth because I have a lot of screenshots of like Wikipedia about the Wild Hunt, and some of it is kind of confusing and in weird languages. So I said it's interesting that the Wild Hunt in legend are packs of white-bodied dogs.
Okay.
And we have seen white-bodied dogs in ACOTAR.
When? We haven't seen white-bodied dogs.
Mm-hmm.
When?
Eris's hounds.
What? Those are not white bodies.
They're white. They're white.
Okay, it's in Silver Flames, right?
Is it Silver?
Are you sure? Do you have the quote on that?
Eris's, yeah. Duh. Heavenly hounds, smoke hounds. They're ghosts.
What? No, they're. What are you? What is going on? Hold on.
Everyone draws them white. Everyone.
I literally did not feel like that's how they were described. Okay, wait. He references them as hounds.
Yeah, so he said even my hounds couldn't track them beyond their last known location. This was his soldiers that were under the thrall of the crown.
Okay, so I see that quote.
Those hounds are the best in Prithian, canines blessed with magic of their own. Okay, pale gray and sleek like smoke. That's basically white.
Yeah.
They could race as fast as the wind and sniff out any prey. They were so highly prized that the autumn court forbids them from being given or sold beyond its borders. So expensive that only nobility owned them. They were bred rarely enough that even one is extremely difficult to come by. Eris, though, Cassian knew, had 12.
Gray and sleek like smoke. What was your point about the hounds?
That they're the wild hunt hounds. And the autumn court somehow came in possession of them and like never let them go. And I also
They're not the same hounds though.
they are definitely the same hounds.
No, they're not. No,
They
they're not.
are.
No, one is gray and one's white. Totally different.
No, they're made of smoke. They're ghostly. This is gonna be the poll for this video. Do you think Eris's hounds are the wild hunt hounds? They have to be. Why else would she add them? And then proceed to drop these little hints that they're ghostly. They can sniff out anything. They run as fast as the wind. They're so prized. Eris somehow has 12 of them. Kind of
it's
like
a really So what are you saying? You think that they were the Asteres pets or whatever?
I think that when the 7 courts were divided, whoever was the ruler of the autumn court, once the wild hunt was eradicated, they took the hounds.
So
like,
basically,
well, we can put these things to use.
Yeah, but then what are they even used for? Like, what type of prey? Is it like hunting down? It has to be hunting down people, right? Like that's what the Daglin used them for.
So it says here that the spectral hounds associated with wild hunt.
And is the wild hunt like I've never understood this because
species
the wild hunt
spirit.
The wild hunt, it's not like a war, right? It's like what they're just like killing people left and right, mercilessly, right? That's my understanding because the wild hunt, it's like also featured in like a shows like The Witcher, and I've seen the wild hunt before, but I never understand it. Never.
I find it interesting that the king of the Anwen, who's supposed to be the owner of these dogs, is named Erowyn. Isn't there an Erewhon in Tog?
In Tog.
So, there's that. So it says the hunting grounds for them are said to include the mountain Sadair Idris, where it is believed that the howling of these huge dogs foretold death to anyone that hears them. According to Welsh folklore, their growling is loudest when they are at a distance, and as they draw nearer, it grows softer and softer. Their coming is generally seen as a death portent.
I find it interesting that of all people to have that, we have Eris.
Love it.
Eris, who, so basically it foretells like your death, right? That's kind of what they do.
Yeah. And the fact that they couldn't sense like the dread trove, because the dread trove is still like, it's weird. This says a prince of Dyfed, again, legend, saw them take down a stag. So he set his own pack of dogs to scare them away. Erewhon then came to him and said that as repentance for driving away his dogs, the prince of Dyfed would have to defeat, this other weird person, I don't know. Christians came to dub these mythical creatures as the Hounds of Hell, Dogs of Hell, theorized that they were owned by Satan. However, the Anwen of medieval Welsh tradition is an otherworldly place of plenty, eternal youth, and not a place of punishment like hell, more like heaven.
It's funny that she's gonna. I never thought of Eris's hounds as like becoming a really big thing. You know what I mean? Like, of any of importance in the book, but it sounds like they're gonna have a pretty significant spot in the upcoming books, right?
Yeah. And then they said someone rode to King Arthur's court with 2 otherworld dogs accompanying him, possibly from the Wild Hunt. They're associated with death and they have red ears. They're supernatural. commonly owned by gods or other inhabitants of the other world.
I told you this is
Like
I-
a new forged god of wrath.
they have to be gods. This is like their god origin story. It has to be. Feyre, Rhysand, Eris, Lucian, Tamlin, all of them. They have to be gods. I think so. Right?
It's weird though, because again, like in some stories, it's like it's definitely hell. They hail from hell. They're hell dogs, blah blah. And then the other ones, they're like, no, these ones are the heaven dogs. And then there's other hell dogs, and I'm like, what the fuck?
We really gotta start talk. I'm sure there's more information on them in there.
I know. Yeah. I said, Eris's smokehounds are white, aka ghostly. Also, which probably honestly has nothing to do with this, but I thought it was hilarious.
What?
Eris is in possession of these dogs, and in the Arthurian folktale, the owner of the dogs is Gwen Apnod, as I said, whose daughter is named Gwen.
I was gonna say, when you first said it, I was like, that's very interesting. That's an interesting name. Gwen has to be Eris's kid. I mean, it's the only thing that makes sense.
Ruler of the underworld, whose name means Gwen, son of Nod, described later on as a great warrior.
Gwen is a Valkyrie.
Right, associated with elves and Valkyries and fairies.
Interesting. That's interesting.
There's like a bunch of siblings.
In the Wild Hunts, there's a bunch of siblings.
No, there's a bunch of siblings of like the owner of the dogs. Son of Nud would thus be grandson to Beli, nephew of Arianod. I don't know how to say these names. And then like 9 other people, oh wait, hold on. Nephew of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 other people. So there's 9 siblings. Which is funny because Eris's family has 9 people.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He has a lot of siblings.
His siblings include Eater and a warrior who appears in a number of Arthurian texts, and Owen, who is briefly mentioned in the Geraint and Enid story.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it just kind of gets complicated. Gwen is the lover of this person, daughter of whatever, who may therefore be Gwen's own sister. I don't know. It gets confusing, but I'm like, it's fucking Eris's dogs. Because we already have the Hellhounds. And then we have the Smokehounds.
It is weird that they're called Smokehounds. I do admit with that. Like, that's bizarre to me.
I fucking love all the reels and the art of Eris just with his dogs.
I haven't seen that many. I literally haven't. You have to send me some.
Everyone draws them as white dogs. Everyone.
Really?
They're always white dogs.
I didn't know that. So now that we've gone back and like checked it against the text, they're actually gray.
They're
gray.
But
yeah.
Pale gray, smoke, white, same thing.
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of.
Kind of.
Well,
white.
If people can say then that Rhys is perfect when he's supposed to be morally gray and he's white, then so can the dogs.
I was gonna say, I think it's okay. You know, people.
I wanna look up Smokehounds real quick.
Look up Smokehounds. Do you want to know what, Mel? I feel like.
Yeah.
I got like 5 minutes left in me. It's not you. I actually love this conversation. Yeah. I'm having a hard time staying awake.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
It says
I'm so exhausted.
It's okay.
It's a bad day. It's a really hard day.
Oh yeah, this is again this quote. Eris sniffed the night breeze, then smiled. She couldn't be bothered to come inside to say hello. How he detected Moore's lingering scent, Cassian didn't know. Perhaps Eris and his smokehounds had more in common than he realized.
I was gonna say, Eris kind of sounds like a smokehound there.
he's
Nothing
the owner of the Smokehounds. Because why do we not have any indication that they're linked to Baron at all? Just Eris. Just Eris.
I told you that Eris is a god, right?
Hmm.
Name of it. Yeah, we had that conversation.
But it's like he was so easily overtaken by Briolyn and
Yeah,
the Crown too.
that's
It
true.
confuses me. It's sad. But
Unless, like,
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know, but I do kind of find it interesting that SJM's taken all these, like, all the folklore. I like it though, like the Koshi, and then
Yeah.
the Beauty and the Beast, and then we're gonna have the Ice Queen, and then she said she was gonna do the Swan Lake.
She's just mashing up all folklore.
Take all the folklore.
Irish,
Like,
Welsh, Arthurian, like everything.
King Arthur also, like, but like, I guess that's folklore. I don't know. I never really thought of King Arthur as folklore, but
Yeah, I mean, well,
she
legend,
seems
myth.
to use that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
folklore, kind of, I guess.
And then we have like Odin and Thor and
Who is
Thor,
Odin?
and
Who do you think is Odin?
I don't think we've met Odin yet. Do you? I don't think we know. No, we haven't. He's got to be super evil, and we have not met anyone.
I don't know. See, for me, I don't know why. Like, Odin and Thor, I know technically, like, aren't they like father and son or whatever?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought Thor
Maybe.
and Thor, are we going to say they're the same thing?
Yeah.
Because then, yes, like Odin's the father. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's not right.
I know I thought about that.
Because then I'm
think
like,
we
if
haven't
Thor is
met
Hunt's dad,
Odin.
then Odin would be his grandfather.
Yeah.
But like, see, everyone is like, Hunt and Cassian have to be related at some point. But I'm like, how? Like, it could
Did
be
you
through the Illyrian line, but like, Hunt's an angel, not an Illyrian.
Did you see the theory that Hunt, Cassian, and
And
Lorcan?
yeah.
I actually like it. I
They
love
said
when
that
I
they had
read
the
that.
same dad, though, and Cassian already killed his dad. He killed his dad.
But then again, we don't know like the timeline. So what if Cassian's the youngest? You know what I mean? Like, what if we have like Lorcan and like Hunt came out first? Because those two seem older than Cassian to me.
Yeah. I mean, I could
Ca-
see them. I don't know. I could see them potentially being half siblings. I don't know about Lorcan, but maybe Hunt and Cass, because they both described their mother as like this worker person, right? Like work to the
Yeah.
bone.
Yes. Yes. I feel like half siblings would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree. I think I haven't read Tog yet, so I don't know about Lorcan, but
Yeah.
Lord Lorcan Locan or something.
The lead is just like this tiny little. Yeah, that's so
I
hilarious.
know. She seems wonderful. I'm actually really excited to read about them. They seem like a good couple.
So someone told me that they start out like really bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Oof.
I'm distracted. But yeah, someone is like, yeah, he like, I guess picks Maeve over everyone, or like he betrays Aelin or something and tells Maeve where she is to like get her again. And obviously Elite is like pissed, like, what the fuck? Like, you completely betrayed us. Like, she's done.
Oh boy.
But like, if he has a blood oath to her, is it really his fault?
I know. I kind of thought the same thing. Like he did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah. I'm like,
But like also people excuse Rowan all the time. Like Rowan, like
of course,
legit,
because he's the main male.
yeah. He like legit punched Aelin in the face. Everyone's like, well, Aelin kind of
Deserved
deserved it. Yeah. She said like really horrible things to him, and I'm like,
And
yeah, but he physically hit her, you guys. Like he punched her in the face.
he punched her in the face, and then like he didn't give her a love bite. He literally bit into her and made her bleed. Like
bit her. Like her blood was all over him.
I don't know. I don't
Not like
I-
a Tamlin
we-
bite.
And Rowan doesn't get any shit.
No.
None.
Well, it was hot, okay? And Tamlin's
So was Tamlin's, dude. Like Feyre was like, let's
Okay.
get it on.
Wait.
Let's
And
Come
he had the
on.
control to say no. I was so impressed with him in that scene.
I was so impressed with him too. And like everyone's like, oh, red flag. Pull out the red flag right there. And I was like, either you guys have never I'm not even gonna say it. But
Yeah, I know.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're so
but like
ridiculous.
going back to Cassian real quick, I found so when I was looking for the Wild Hunt thing,
Yeah.
I found a quote from Nesta that you're really not gonna like.
I swear to God, if Cassian doesn't die, I'm gonna read House of Flame and Shadow. And if he doesn't die,
He won't die, but it makes no sense with all the clues that he should die.
the minute if he doesn't, that last word, I'm gonna call you up and I'm gonna be like, you're freaking paying for my therapy for like 3 months.
Okay.
You
But
have me so stressed
I
out.
had not highlighted this. It was not on my piece of paper.
Read it off. Let's hear it.
So she's watching him train. Or she's trying to train.
Here you guys.
And Cassian's like, a 10-year-old Illyrian boy could do that in the span of a few minutes. And she's like, all pissed at him. But then she's watching him train. And she says, in another age, another world, he might have been deemed a warrior god by mortals. After what he told her about the monsters he'd put in the prison, he might very well be considered a great hero in this age. So, people are saying they ain't separated by time. They're separated by time. The kind that would one day be whispered around a fire. People would name their children after him. Warriors would want to be him. A fine warrior would be known as Cassian Reborn. Reborn? Wouldn't he have to be dead? For children to be named after him? Her child to be named after him? Little Cassian?
You know what?
Little baby Cassian with no daddy?
I think about Cassian all the time. He's like my Roman Empire. And like I keep thinking about this like debate that you keep saying that like Cassian's gonna die, Cassian's gonna die.
Debate.
And like I will admit to you on this podcast that like you have some really solid evidence. There's a lot of good stuff that you're saying. Like he probably will die. But I also don't see SJM like healing Nesta and then like killing Cassian. Like it doesn't make any sense at all. Right?
It
That's the whole-
would if Nesta is supposed to be some sort of god and just Cassian isn't.
How though? How does that make any sense? Like, and like Cassian
They've
would be a god.
never been equals. I will say this until the series ends, whether he dies
disagree.
or not. They have never been equals.
I
When she was
completely
human,
disagree.
he was more powerful than her. When she came out of the cauldron, immediately she was more powerful than him. They have never been on an even playing field. Mates are supposed to be equals in power. And that's why Feyre was chosen for Rhys, because he's the most powerful High Lord, and she had a part of every single High Lord, making her the most powerful female, technically, until Nesta. And that's why SJM made Nesta give most of her powers back, so she wouldn't overpower Feyre. But she's still cauldron made.
Right.
And Cassian's literally just an Illyrian. Like what
He's not
power?
just an
What
Illyrian.
powers does he have? He has no powers.
He's the strong that we know of. That we know because we talked about in a previous episode he could be like a god of thunder or something. Or he can have powers that we don't even know about. Like maybe
But
he's hiding
why?
something.
We know
He could be
about
hiding
Azrael's.
something.
Why?
Because maybe she's hiding it because she's gonna show that Lorcan and Hunt is his his brothers.
Well,
It would be too
actually,
much of a giveaway.
I saw someone pointed out that there are a few scenes of like weather acting up, but usually it's when Nesta's
They're both in this scene.
okay.
I went back and read that.
What do
They
you
were-
have it? What scene is it?
I didn't highlight it. That's the problem. And I went,
Is it like
but
rain or
it was when they were up in the mountain. What do they perform, the Illyrians?
the blood
Is
right?
it the Great Rite?
The blood right?
The Blood Rite. It's the Blood Rite. So that was one of the scenes where the weather was acting up. But Cassian and Nesta were together when it was happening.
Is that when he's like under the
He was
thrall
like
of the
crushing
crown?
her. Remember?
Oh, okay. So what? So, but it could have been like the Dread Trove, like.
I
Mm,
mean, the way that she wrote it, it was like it was Nesta causing the weather to act that way, but like at the same time, they were together. They
is
have
thunder
this-
ever mentioned? I'm looking up the word thunder.
They have the same 8-pointed star.
That the 8-pointed star thing is weird.
It's super weird. I still can't figure it out. I'm like trying to figure out why her, Cassian, and Bryce all have the 8-pointed star, and I cannot figure it out.
Well, I
Besides,
said
they belong-
Cassian only had it because it was Nesta's bargain.
but
It's
he still
basically
has
just
it
Nesta and Bryce.
regardless. He
Well,
still
they're
has
gone.
it.
Well, they're gone now.
I thought it always stayed. I thought they stay once the bargain's over. If Feyre's hand stayed.
No, she made Reese put it back.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, it says like it says her spine tingled and she knew that the mark of the bargain would no longer be there or something like that. It went away. Went away. Okay. Here it is. Cassian is not in the scene. It is Nesta.
Which one?
It's
What
with
scene is it?
it's with Bellius when she's fighting Bellius.
Bellius?
Yes, he's like lunging at her. He didn't stop, didn't give her a moment's reprieve as he attacked, parrying and thrusting, driving her back toward the line, the archway. The archway? The archway? Uh-oh. Hatred burning in his face. Such blind, driving hatred, without reason, without end. Weird. The snow thickened, the wind howled, and the sky rumbled. Bellius struck again, and Nesta lifted her shield, meeting the blow. Lightning flashed, thunder booming in its wake. A storm had swept around the mountain, veiling the moon and the stars. Only the lightning arcing across the sky provided illumination to Bellius's onslaught. She was on the defensive, and if she wanted to survive this, she had to find some way to change that. But the snow slickened across the stones, the dirt, and the lightning lashed across the sky again, blinding them both. He thought faster, acted faster. Used her blink to slam his shield into her own, knocking it from her grip. Disarmed like a novice. Thunder cracked again, and Bellius laughed, disappointing. Nesta dodged the assault after the assault, but not fast enough to avoid the precise slices that he landed to her arms, her legs, and her face.
Oh
She
gosh.
slowed, her feet sliding on the slippery mountainside as the thunder snow raged. Another blow and her feet left the ground. The breath slammed out of her as her spine hit something unyielding, a boulder. Blood trickled out of her nose. Bellius approached, tossing his weapons aside. Doing this with my bare hands will be so much more satisfying. On shaking hands as lightning cracked and the snow swirled, Nesta pushed up off the rock. Her legs trembled, begging her to sit, to stop, or fucking die already. The wild hatred in his gaze seared hers. Her friends had made it, and she didn't want to die. She wanted to live. Nesta braced her feet apart, settled her aching, battered body. Blood flowed from her mouth and her nose, but Nesta smiled anyway, its tang coating her tongue. Bellius threw his first punch, putting the entire force of his body into it. Nesta blocked it, driving her fist into his nose. Bone crunched. Bellius howled, falling back a step, and Nesta hissed, "My mate taught me well."
See. Interesting.
And then they continue.
Well, the snow isn't accounted for.
Yeah.
But Cassian's not in the scenes with the snow.
the lightning and the thunder when her shield. Oh,
I
it's
like,
Nesta. She's Lady Thur.
yeah, she is. It's Cesta. Cassian has to have like another gift though. She's not gonna just leave Cassian to be like the chump of the group. You know what I mean? He can't be. There's no way. We're gonna find something else about Cassian, I guarantee it.
Cassian said, "I'm going to slit your pretty little throat because of the crown."
Yeah.
Oof.
Oof, is
She was,
right.
mm,
Oof.
she was struggling, and then fucking Briolin.
Well, she's just kind of like a lame villain. I don't know. I wasn't like super like Amarantha. I was invested in her. Ianthe, I was invested in her. Briolin as a villain was like super boring.
Well, I think they turned her into the cauldron. Definitely turned her into something other than an old lady. It says satisfaction flashed in Briolin's dark eyes, and the
Dark
storm.
eyes.
The 3 simple spikes of the golden crown glowed as she lifted a hand, and the storm halted. Cleared away to reveal the pale gray sky before dawn, the last of the stars winking out. Even nature could be influenced by the crown. So was it Briolin the whole time?
Maybe it might have. No, I don't think that it was. I don't know.
Well,
Because Briolin
so Nesta probably caused it and she just stopped it with the
stopped
crown.
it. Like put her hands. Yeah, 'cause she's connected to it.
Ah.
Interesting.
Hmm.
And it's right.
All right. See, now you're hyping me up for the Cassian thing. I'm all excited now.
I don't think he's not gonna die. Like I just don't have evidence of that.
Oh, you will by the time I'm done.
No, I love him.